Welcome, guys. I'm Corey Smith. So we're here for the Griffith the Cock Racing Christmas webinar. Obviously, we would love to have you out at the stables, but this year has been one of those years where that's never really been possible to host our owners or host possible new owners out there. But we're hoping that changes very soon. It's thrown up its challenges, but this is the new way. We've managed to get you on board here online, and we obviously have Robbie and Matt here with us today. So welcome, Robbie and Matt.
Thank you.
Hey, team.
We have Jack here from sales, so myself and Jack helping out with that side of things. So welcome, Jack.
Hey team, how you going?
And we have a special guest here today. We have Clint Donovan, who's the bloodstock manager of the Magic Millions. So welcome, Clint.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on board, and Merry Christmas to everybody.
So I guess the big sale coming up, it's always exciting on coming into a new sales season, but probably more so this season for us, Clint, because it's the first time going to the sales as Griffith the Cock Racing. For you, does that excite you, I guess, as a bloodstock manager up there?
Yeah, you bet. We always like some new blood coming in, a new investment, and we're just really excited to have everybody in the Gold Coast. The weather's been great, and getting you all out of wherever you've been hiding and up the coast, we're really looking forward to that.
And I guess I've got up on the screen there, but to sum it up, what is it? So we all know it's a great sale, but I guess when you speak to some people, they mention the word Magic Millions. The words Magic Millions makes you think of millions of dollars, which is correct, but it doesn't actually cost you millions of dollars to get involved. And if you just sort of touch on how it came about, what it is, and what a great spectacle it now has turned into.
Yeah, it certainly is. Magic's the perfect word to describe it, to be honest with you. I'm delighted to be able to be involved and most certainly to be the bloodstock manager of what is a company that started in around 86 with the idea of a sales bonus race. It was a genius idea, obviously, but who would have thought that we could take market share of established companies that have been going for 100 years with $1 million race and the glitz and glamour of Surfers Paradise and the Gold Coast? Well, turns out the old idea of mum going shopping, kids going to theme parks, dad buying a horse, it works, and it works beautifully. The best thing about the Magic Millions is that it's a family-orientated event. There are a number of events around, not just a horse sale. Of course, the race day, we have a barrier draw where horses gallop down the beach. It's an unbelievable spectacle. But the sale itself, we also make our own kind of magic out there. You touched on it, Corey. There's been a whole heap of household names sold through the Magic Millions sale ring, and most of them for not a lot of money. Recently, there's been a big run of success with some of the top 2- and 3-year-old colts. And fillies racing around the country at the moment have made a significant amount of money. However, over the years, historically, most of the champions that have been sold at the sale have been in or around, or indeed under the sale average.
Yeah, and I guess for those people that are maybe tuning in and have never been to a live sale before, how much of a spectacle is a sales ring and an actual sales event? It's not just a horse going around and people bidding on it. Obviously, that's part of it, but there's so much more that happens that probably the audience doesn't always know, and it can be just as exciting as the racing itself.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you guys, Robbie, Matt, anybody involved that's been involved in buying a horse before, there's a big build-up. There's a lot of research that goes on, not only pedigrees, but in investing time looking at the horses and falling in love with your shortlist and bidding away. On sale day, I think it is as exciting as winning a race. When you land the horse that you really wanted, there's no better feeling. And as an auctioneer standing up at the Magic Millions selling horses, some of the celebrations are just fantastic. High fives all round. Someone's just spent $200,000 on a horse. So that's really, really exciting. exciting to see, and it is something that makes it really special. And when $1 million lots go through the ring, and there's not many of those, but when a star lot comes through the ring, there's 1,200 people sitting down for lunch, and the place goes dead quiet. All you can hear is the footprint, the hooves of the horse bouncing around the stage, and it's that the auctioneer. So the atmosphere really is electric, and that goes for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, and I guess, Robbie, you've been to the sales plenty of times yourself, and for the guys watching in the audience here, if you click on the Q&A button at the bottom, you can ask questions at any stage, and I'll try and get those across. But Robbie, you've been to not just the Gold Coast sale, but also the Tasmanian one, the Adelaide one, and the Perth one, and I know that you've bought in all of those sales. So, what are your thoughts on the whole Magic Millions concept?
Oh, it's fantastic. We've had great success in all 3 states at the Magic Million sales, and what Clint's saying is quite right. It is a massive build-up, and it's a big build-up because there's a lot of horses there, and you hope that when you find the one you want, that not everyone else is on it, because you don't always have an unlimited budget. So you hope that you snag the one you want. So the nerves are running and the heart's fluttering, because you want to make sure that you land with the one that you've had your heart set on. So it is quite exciting, and we've had. I remember the first expensive one we bought was Dan's Island. He was 230,000, and the heart was racing like crazy, but he ended up winning us $1 million, and he was a great horse. And then in Adelaide, we paid 45,000 for It Is Written, and he won close to $1 million. And then on the other side of the scale, we paid $10,000 for a written tycoon in Tasmania that won on debut and was sold to Hong Kong. So, there's been some great buys in all 3 states. We won a Magic Millions race in Adelaide with Undoubtable Miss from the Gold Coast for 90,000. So, with the sales average last year, I think 248,000 or 250,000 thereabouts, and you can snag a Magic Millions winner in Adelaide with Undoubtable Miss for 90. So, they're there to be chosen. You can work through. You don't have to pay top dollar at the sales, but there's a lot of work that has to be done. And we bought Glenfiddich for 200,000 there. He's a Group 1 horse. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's a real buzz, I tell you. It's very exciting. There's no doubt about that.
And just before I go back to Clint, Matt, this is your first time at the Magic Millions. I know that you're quite excited by it, but I guess how much work goes into the process of getting to the sale as a trainer? And I know that we've been doing a lot of market research for you guys. Jack's been on the phone non-stop with clients and trying to help as much as he can with that bloodstock side. And then ultimately you guys need to go and look at the horse flesh and choose the horses that you like.
Yeah, it's I'm very excited about it being my first time. It's a lot of sacrifice. We've been preparing for it for months, going up to farms and stuff in Victoria where we can, looking at horses, trying to get that shortlist down a little bit. But it's daunting to have 1,200 horses in front of you. So it's going to be a lot of hard work. But thankfully now with the partnership and Jack and yourself are on board, we can divide the workload, and I think we'll be able to get through the numbers. But I'm really excited to get up there, my first time on the Gold Coast.
And we will touch on a little bit more of that later on. But Clint, you've been kind enough to join us and won't be here all night. But with such a large catalogue this year, how does anyone have a short list? It would be more a long list, wouldn't it?
Indeed. I guess there are Colts buyers, there are filly buyers, budget conscious, preferable sire lines or female lines. So it's funny, water finds its level, and we've managed to touch wood in the past, sell in excess of 90% of the horses. So we're aiming for that again this year. And
I've got up on the screen there, so we might go through these topics. But popular sires in your mind, both speaking to vendors, speaking to all the trainers, speaking to bloodstock agents, speaking to the Asian market. What are your predictions for the popular sires at this year's sale?
obviously the number one gun in the sales ring is I'm Invincible for very good reason. His stats are incredible on the racetrack, and they're really good looking horses. So he's probably top gun. We're seeing the last lot of the reduced choice horses come through this year, which is, it's exciting to have them in the sale, but sad to think this is the last of, that champion stallion's progeny. Exceed and Excel. There's young horses like Deepfield, really kicking big goals. Like, the list goes on. We're blessed with an incredibly deep stallion portfolio here in Australia and New Zealand. I guess to answer your question, top dog probably Vinny. I'm Invincible. Certainly follow closely, if not equal, Schnitzel.
Yeah, and I'm Invincible has is it his first son at stud, Hellbent? Is that the first son of I'm Invincible that comes through the ring? Or
you know what? Let's say yes. Let's say yes. They're look, let's put it this way. They're very impressive types, the Hellbents, that's for sure. He's managed to be bay dominant. The majority of them don't have any white even. Bay with black tips, really nice looking athletic trainers type horses. By all reports, yearling managers say they've got sound minds. So I think Hellbent will sell well as a son of I'm Invincible, yes.
And other first season sires, I've got the list there because every year, the first sale of the year being the Magic Millions Gold Coast sale, the first season sires are always a bit of a hit, and always, I guess, we can talk about the I'm Invincibles, but everyone always has their eyes on the first season sires when it comes to the new sales season. Which of them do you think will be hits? And I won't ask you which ones you think will be misses for obvious reasons, but which of them do you think will be big hits in the ring?
No, please don't do that. I'm not sure how many breeders are watching. It's a touchy subject, that is for sure. Look, as mentioned, the Hellbents are very nice horses. I've only done the Hunter Valley, so there are a lot of these first season stallions I haven't seen any progeny of yet, whether they're coming out from New Zealand like Al Manzoor or smaller numbers potentially based in the Hunter. Merchant Navy's left a good quality, tough, sound-looking product. Just looking at the list here as well. Russian Revolution, seen some really nice Russians in the last few days, their Hunter inspections. They're probably, if I had to single out the top 3 or 4, that's where my money would be, and that's also by weight of numbers as well. The Smoky for mine's Pariah, son of Redutes. Didn't stand at a massive service fee, but it's certainly left a hell of a lot of quality in his stock.
And it's always, it's interesting, I guess, once you get there and there's all of those, I guess it's the unknown, but it's also semi-exciting because you could be onto the next Redute's choice, or, you might not be, and nobody really knows until they hit the track. But it's pretty exciting times. Matt, I know you were fairly excited when you got your Russian Revolution hat sent down to you and your bottle of vodka. And I know that you guys actually bought one out of the paddock. So we'll bring that up later in the conversation. But I'll finish off now with Clint. So what is the main reason you believe owners should get involved?
Well, I think it's the most fun to get over your clothes on winning a race, and similarly buying one. Buying a horse. Look, we're blessed here in Australia that ownership is affordable. Horses can be split an unlimited amount of ways. It actually doesn't take a big investment to get involved. You can have a smaller investment or as large as you like. So get in contact with the stable. Get in contact with anyone at Magic Millions. We'd love to help you out. It's some of these horses that will go through the ring will change people's addresses, and we'd welcome all comers, and I hope to see you up on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, and probably just to finally mention, I know that I get my catalogues for everything sent through, and effectively that's open for anyone if they're interested. And you guys do a great job getting catalogues, magazines, all sorts of things out to potential owners, and even if they're just interested in following the sale, they can get those types of things. So they just contact yourself for that, for anything like that?
Yeah, please jump on our website. There's a lot of information there. You can download magazines, order catalogues delivered in the mail. There's a lot of information. There's a whole heap of sire tables, different stuff, stats on previous sales. So get on to magicmillions.com.au, and most certainly, all of our contact details are there. Feel free to call or email me if you need anything. We're an open book, and as I said, we welcome all comers.
And the final question, I guess, is the COVID outbreak in Sydney. How will that affect you guys at the sale, and what are your hopes, I guess, for the coming days?
Well, I guess for you guys, there'll be less pesky New South Wales trainers there at this stage, which isn't great for the breeders of Australia. But look, we're working through this situation. Look, to be honest, that was a bit of a light-hearted joke. It is quite a serious matter, but maybe we're blessed that it's happened now and not a week out from the sale. So watch this space. The tracing in New South Wales is world class, I believe. I'm led to believe 38,000 New South Wales people in that area got tested. So let's hope it's like Adelaide. We get on top of things. There's not too much community transmission, and the sale will run as normal because there's a lot of people excited to get to the Gold Coast that either haven't left the farm or left their business for quite a while.
Yeah, and it has gone down today, I believe. So fingers crossed for everyone. And hopefully, yeah, it's a great sale. I'm sure it will be. We'll see you up there, and thank you very much for joining us on the Christmas webinar.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clint.
Thanks, Clint. Thank you.
All right, so Clint's going to leave us, but what we do have for you now is a little bit of a treat. You may not be able to hear the sound on this, and it's hard to play a video through, but what it is it's every winner. So Matt and Robbie will enjoy watching this, but it's every winner since they've become partners. So wasn't long ago, and there's a few of these to get through, but I'll roll the now. And that's it there. So pretty impressive start to the partnership. And I'll go to you, Robbie, but we joked this week that maybe we just needed a nose roll to get 2 more wins, beaten on the post twice, but it's a pretty impressive start. And there's been lots and lots of talk in the media about the partnership and how it's flying. But the reality of the situation is it's really only scratching the surface of what is to come.
Yeah. Thanks, Corey. It's been a great start. It certainly has, and we're only a nose the last 2 Saturdays off Hasselhoff and King Magnus, adding to that list, which has been fantastic. And there's some beautiful young horses that haven't been sighted yet, so they're trialling up well and galloping up well. And once they hit the track, we think that there's some really good things to come, you know.
Yeah, and I've just posted the first poll up there, which is about the Magic Millions. But also there's a few polls tonight just for people to give us feedback on what they would like, which races they were most impressed with. And obviously there is the option for people to click on the question and answers button and ask questions. I see there's a couple there now, but I'll make sure that I ask those at the right times. Matt, what about for yourself? There's been a lot of focus on yourself because I guess you're the new face in the stable, so to speak. But what are your impressions so far since becoming a partner? I know that you were there before, but it must be pretty exciting having a great start.
Yeah, it's awesome, Corey. You know, to have the opportunity to work with someone with Robbie's experience and record is it's a treat for me. It's a feather in my cap that he offered me that. So. I'm really excited the way it's gone, obviously. And like you said before, this is only scratching the surface. You know, we want the big trophies. We want the group ones. It's going to be, it's not going to happen overnight, but we're setting our sights very high. And I really feel like we've got the team behind us now with you and Jack, and then all the staff are working really hard to really succeed.
And I've just finished the first poll there. So have you ever attended the sale before? Do you look at the catalogues and all that type of thing? So I'll show you the answers here. We'll share the results for everyone. So have a quick look through there. But as you can see on the screen, I guess what's really important, and I mean, we have spoken about the Magic Millions, but there are many other sales during the year. And Jack, I might come to you now. But what are our plans for this season? And without expanding too much, because the next bit we'll go into that in a little bit more depth. But what are our plans in terms of the sales season?
Obviously, we want to dive into the sales. We've got a great opportunity now with this partnership, and we have to be forward thinking, and we definitely have to get involved in all the sales because that shows that you're new and you're working and you're on the rise. So in all the sales, we'll be definitely looking at, all sorts of stock, and we just want to make a splash and buy the right horses. So we obviously are looking to get the backing from you guys and get the right horses in the stable. So goes hand in hand, Corey, I guess.
Yeah, and I'll come back to Robbie. So I had a few questions on email today about what we'd be looking for at the Magic Millions sale in particular. And I guess that's come from the experience we had with the Karaka Ready to Run sale. We went there looking for staying types in particular and came away with what we thought is our classic colt and our classic filly. So looking at Derby and the Oaks with those in particular. Would we go to the Magic Millions knowing that there's a 1,200 strong catalogue and Magic Millions is known for early types and precocious types? Would we go there looking for that, or would we be a little bit more open-minded with such a big catalogue where you can find value in so many different ways?
I think with the catalogue being so expansive with 1,200 horses there, you always have an open mind. Matt and I have discussed this. We're not going to be narrow-minded. We're going to have an open mind. Naturally, the sellers are going to tap into that sprinter early return market. So you're going to come across more speed horses. But if there happens to be one there that falls through the cracks that's good value, you're not going to ignore that opportunity. But realistically, most of the horses that you are going to come across are going to be in that speed mould, but you're going to pay for that too. So, but we will have an open mind to make sure that we get value for our owners. You know, we did buy, you know, we have bought horses there before at, you know, $30,000-$40,000 that, you know, had fallen through the cracks. So you can buy horses there at all different price ranges because of the volume of the 1,200 horses that are there. So we're not going to exclude any horses, Corey, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I've got a question from Wayne Lee here, Matt, which I'll throw to you. So do you go there with a dollar figure in mind of what you think is a value, and then if one goes for under that, do you snap it up and then look for owners? And I guess that gives us a chance to maybe expand on our process of looking to get owners' feedback before we go to the sale in an ideal world.
Yeah, in an ideal world, we do want feedback and want to be prepared. Doing your homework is very important, because you got to be prepared when the horses are going through the ring, and you know something goes to the ring that you value way above what it's busy going for, and you got to take that opportunity to snap it up, and hopefully you have the backing like we did for the Karaka sale. And if you don't, well, still you can put your head down and you've seen value, so you can buy it and try and syndicate it after. But you know, myself and Robbie take shares in a lot of the horses too, because we believe in them. So doing homework is very important, and being really paying attention when they're going through the ring is just as important.
I'd forgotten to mention, but we do have a giveaway tonight, the Griffith de Kock Racing Pack, which Sarah, who's the main administrator for the company, she's put one together for when they come in. So they're not even here yet. This will be the first person to ever get that. If you ask the best question tonight, so Matt and Robbie will pick that, but any questions that come through, so obviously Wayne's winning at the moment because it's the only question that came through, and it's the only one that I've asked, but we'll try and get the best question, we'll get a prize pack, so we'll try and get that out to people. Back to you, Robbie. I guess fillies or colts, and why? And I know that you'll probably say you'll look at either, but I guess people often have colt syndicates or filly syndicates, and the options are so vast. Which do you tend to lean towards?
Yeah, well, it is an open question because they are vast, and it depends on a lot of this feedback from nights like tonight, because it very much depends on client and request feedback. Because if we get a partnership agreement that put together a group of funds that say we want to be serious about having a colt fund to put together a group of dollars to try and play in the colt market, well, you're going to go down the path of buying colts. You know, if you have breeders that want to have the residual value and buy fillies, we're going to go down that path. So we are going to be open-minded. You know, when Matt and I find horses that we like, we're going to see the value in either gender, depending on the page, the athleticism, and so on. So, like, you know, no different to when, you know, Shrani and I bought Glenn Fiddick, you know, for $200,000, Fastnet Rock Colt with a page, fell under average price. And as it turned out, you know, now he's probably an $8 million colt, you know. So he represented very good value at Fall the Hammer. And as it turned out, it was an extremely good buy. When we bought, you know, Divine Quality with Craig Pearce, you know, 185,000. She was well under average price, and now she's, you know, Group 2 winner, beat 2 Group 1 winners. So she represented very good value as a female for a dual purpose out of a Fastnet Rock mare. She had the double Dane Hill, so she was very compatible to go on to other stallions and so on. So as Matt and I come across either gender, you'll determine what ownership group that individual suits and so on. So you can make a case for either gender, Corey.
Yeah, and I guess what's really interesting when we go to sales is it can sometimes be daunting for people, but don't be scared to reach out to Jack or myself and say, this is what I'd like to do. And we can then see whether that's an option. So we had things like the Christmas Club where it was 1% in 3 different horses, which normally is not something that's done, but we actually set aside 10% in that horse and did that as a short promotion and that was sold very quickly. Would we do that type of thing in the future? Maybe. Sometimes it depends on the situation of that horse. But if somebody comes to us and wants to put together a lady syndicate to have a crack at the Magic Millions ladies bonus, things like that, the stable would be more than open to that if you come to us with ideas. If you wanted to buy half of a horse, and I think it needs to be said that Robbie and Matt would never buy a horse they didn't believe in. But there are options there for our clients to actually come to us with ideas, and we're open to all ideas. This is one for you, Matt. Brendan Byron says, I'm really keen to go racing with your stable, but a few of his mates are not so sure. How can he convince them to race with you guys? So why us and why not? I know everyone's doing these types of things to get people involved. Why us?
Well, I really believe we're the future of racing in Victoria. I've been lucky enough to have a great upbringing with my father, Mike de Kock, who's, I don't know if the questionnaire knows that who he is, but he's obviously one of the world's most recognized trainers, and I've been very fortunate to learn from him. So I'm bringing a whole new aspect to Australian racing, and joining Robbie and the team here. Robbie's knowledge and his record here speaks for itself as well. So you've got the combining of the two different backgrounds, and then we've got the option of one day, if we have a horse good enough, we can just pop it on a plane and can fly over to Dubai. My old man's got a set up there, or fly over to Newmarket. So the world's our oyster, and if we get one good enough, we're definitely the right team to be with.
So, yeah, and I think that's the key. The options are endless with our stable at the moment, and I guess there's so many changing ownership options. For example, we might touch on Jack. I believe that there were 3 horses recently purchased which were not from the sales. If you could explain how they came about.
So, Corey, we have been active. We've been going and looking at horses in paddocks for months. And, the boys fall in love with horses and we like them out of the paddock. And sometimes it's just easier to buy them out of the paddock, and, they don't have to have a sales prep. Sometimes they may, for what a better word, may just work for us, and we'll just do a deal there and then. And there's heaps of those opportunities coming up. And we've been really fortunate that we've been really, there's been some really nice purchases off the books that no one will see through sales rings, but will be available on our, in the near future. So it's really exciting times ahead. And as Corey said, we never buy anything we don't believe in. So as we believe in everything we buy. So it's really exciting times ahead.
Yeah, and I know so I'll ask Robbie this one, but I know that we got those 3. Robbie, what are the 3 that we recently got, and when will they be available for people?
We've got Flying Artie, a Cable Bay, and a Choisir, and they will be available in the new year once we've start purchasing from the Gold Coast and so on. So they'll be made available on the website. Basically, once we start buying at the Gold Coast, they'll come available on the website at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. So people, if they were interested, they could get in touch with yourselves and Jack at this stage and let us know they're interested. They were. I know that all 3 of them were bargains. So yeah, if people are interested in those 3, contact Jack and he can point you in the right direction. But I've got a couple of questions coming through, so I might go through a couple of questions before we go further. But Luke Williams says, if I was interested in a horse over a longer distance than just sprints, would the Magic Millions not be the sale for me? If you could expand on that, Robbie, but also maybe explain the difference in the sales. So the English Premier and the English Classic, the Magic Million sales, what the differences are for those people that might not know.
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, being the first sale came off the rank, I mean, the breeders in themselves and the sales company like to also put the right horses in the right sale. And what they mean by that is that the market is very much structured around early speed. People want to, get the early 2-year-old runner that's going to be the Magic Millions winner as a 2 and 3-year-old. So it's less likely to have that stayer and potential stayer in that 1,200 horses. So there's going to be less of them. So as a consequence of the way the marketplace and the way the sales company and the breeders have got it structured, the breeder that breeds the nice stayer is more likely to nominate their yearling in, say, Sydney Easter or Melbourne Premier, or even in New Zealand. So it's less likely that yearling is one of those 1,200 horses at the Gold Coast sale. So I hope that helps answer the question. So as a result of that structure, you're going to be more likely to find your staying horse in one of the other sales around Australia. So you might find some of them in Gold Coast, but less of them. So throughout the year, you tend to find more of your speed horses at the Magic Millions in January, and your Premier sale has more stayers in their catalogue. Sydney Easter will, New Zealand certainly does, and so on and so forth. I hope that helps clear up that question.
Yeah, no, that's good. And Jack, here's one for you before I go to Matt with another one. It just says here, Peter Collins is saying, within the stable over the last couple of years, roughly have you had more success with fillies or colts? And that may help people in choosing what they focus to buy into. And the reason I'm going to ask you that question, Jack, is we've been doing lots of study into what's been working and what hasn't been working. And what we've found is that Robbie's had success with quite different distance ranges and not a particular focus on one. And I guess we're trying to get as many people in the stable as possible. And with Matt coming on board, getting I guess having an option for everyone that wants to be involved, we can train for them and target the races they want to be involved in. So I'll let you expand on that.
Yeah, so look, we've been lucky, obviously the stable star Helvorsen, who holds the flag at the moment, is a gelding, but at the same time, Robbie's had success with fillies, the likes of Don't Tell the Boss, so to be honest, I think it's a pretty open mindset. I wouldn't say we've specialised in either or. I say we're reasonably good at both. And I think it just depends on the horse, There's no certain, I wouldn't say map to it or the way you go about it, but I think everyone has their, strengths. Obviously, Matthew bringing on the staying sort of distance, those classic type of, experience with those sort of horses is definitely a feather in our cap. And Robbie's absolutely, over the years, he's been a superstar with the sprinters and the 2-year-olds and all sorts of horses, and even our Chevalier that's been getting over a trip of recent times. So as a team, I think we've got sort of all the aspects covered, if that answers the question, sort of, Corey.
Yeah, certainly does. And what I'll do is I'll stop with the questions now and we'll go back to get through the remaining ones. But I'll just go through at the moment. I'll share the poll up there.
Just on that, Corey, with our Derby runner, he did come out of the Gold Coast sales.
So there you go. There's plenty of success across all of the sales. And I can tell you that it's a power of market research that goes into all of this, even for Jack and myself, and we don't have to train the horses. It's an incredible amount of market research we do into that to try and help our clients. And you're really trying to take the risk out of it. So you want to firstly buy something that everyone wants, but you also want to have the best possible horse. Ultimately, you're buying horses that you think will win.
You would think Highland Real would be versatile to have all bases covered, you would think, based on what he did around the world,
Yeah, and then I guess here people are sort of saying, well, we'll share that up there so people can see which have won. Merchant Navy and Russian Revolution's pretty popular, Capitalist popular, as we'd expect with the start that he has made. Lots of Newgate farm horses there, so Henry will be happy with that. Done Deal's got a few votes there, which is vast. As the voting shows, everyone likes different things. Ultimately, you're looking for horses that will win when you get to the sale. And that's what we're trying to find, and we're trying to find horses that will win and that we can engage our owners' involvement in at the same time. So, Matt, to yourself, international racing options. What options do we have?
Oh, well, we have such easy access to the Dubai Racing Carnival. We set up a yard there that we've been running since 2003. Had over 100 winners in Dubai. So that's just a plane flight away. We don't have to send any staff or anything. It's all set up and ready to go. And then we've got access to a yard in Newmarket, which is, basically one of the main hubs of racing around the world. And, from Newmarket or from Dubai, you can also travel anywhere. We've raided into Hong Kong from there. We've raided into America from there. So, with access to two hubs like that, it's a great advantage.
Certainly is. I've just posted another poll there, so lots of fun for our guests. But Halvorsen, Robbie, the skeptics out there will have sort of had their say on social media that, would he be at the level to go over there? And I read some of your comments on racing.com as well. But ultimately, the idea of getting him involved there is really to show people that the world is our oyster now, and we can basically, if we have a horse that's at the level, they can go as long as the owners are in for that, and they have a chance. Which obviously you only would send him if he had a good chance.
Yeah, and I think whether he goes overseas or not, is up for discussion with the ownership group, but. He's a classic example of how we're structured now, and I think we're very unique that we're probably we are the only stable set up that way in Australia that offers international and local clients that unique opportunity. And Halvorsen's a fantastic example of that. That he's a great straight track horse, so he can run in the Newmarket, go to Dubai for the Alquoz, and then run in the King's Stand in Ascot in England without us sending any staff. And if the COVID stands in our way, it doesn't matter. We can put Halvorsen on the plane and go from the Newmarket in Australia to Dubai to Mike's stable, to Newmarket in England to Mike's stable, all with the logistics covered because of the two stables. And that's our international triangle of stables that we have with Mike the Cock and Griffiths the Cock Racing in Australia. That's unique, and nobody else in Australia has those bases covered. So we can offer that to our local clients that own Halvorsen, including myself, Don Healy, and everyone that's bred him. He's a straight track horse. He loves the straight. He's got the straight in Dubai and the straight at Newmarket to run and represent the world in the World Series of Sprints. That is very achievable if we choose to do it. And it can be done, So there's no other stable in Australia that can do that. Now we can offer that to all of our owners, internationally or locally, if they choose to support us, and that's unique.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I guess there's a whole host of options there. And Jack, one of our jobs is to try and create options for owners, and one option is to buy into tried horses. And there was a share that came up in our Chevalier that we one of the owners passed in their share. We put that up on the Inglis online sale, and as we saw in that clip before, their first two starts were wins, with one of them at Moonee Valley. So they bought a share in our Chevalier, which is he a 4-year-old? Is that correct?
I believe so. Robbie, you clarify that? I'm pretty sure he's 4, isn't he?
He's a 4-year-old, yes.
Yeah.
He's a 4-year-old son of Redute's Choice. He's a stay-in, so he can still go to stud. He's out of a Hassanay mare that Sharani and I bought him at the Gold Coast at this particular Magic Million sales. And for some strange reason, nobody bought all of him. So Sharani and I owned a fair chunk of him, but he did need a tie-back operation in his throat. So we did that as a young horse, and we were very patient with him. And Jack had an idea that we should, sell a share or two in him on the online auction very cheaply, which was very kind of Jack to sell our share very cheaply. Thank you, Jack. But it was a marketing idea to open up some opportunities to the stable, and it gave new people a chance to race with the new partnership, and we did that. And so some lucky people had an opportunity to race him, and here he is winning his last 2 runs and winning at Moonee Valley, and he's going to line up New Year's Day at Flemington, and fantastic,
Pretty incredible. I mean, Jack, you've claimed my idea there, but Robbie seems a bit unhappy that we sold him, so you can have that one now.
No, we're on the same page, Corey.
but I guess
take that out of your wages, do we, Jack?
But I think there with that, it just shows that you can buy into horses that are already potentially there. As well as, going to these yearling sales, which everybody tends to know about. But there are options. And if you want to get into ready to run horses, there are a number of 2-year-olds in the stable now, which were bought at last year's yearling sales, and they're getting close to hitting the track. Now, why are they still available? A lot of people would say. And the easy answer is COVID. I think, basically COVID, and they're still available. And some of those are actually ready to go racing in the next month or so, and gives people options. So they're all on the website now. And Jack and I, we shake our heads sometimes at some of the ones that are all sold. And then there are some there that are sitting there that are fantastic horses and will win races pretty much straight away. So I guess it's all of these options are there for people. I'll come to you, Matt, now for the New Zealand process. So if you just wanted to run through what we did, we sold down those 2 horses. One sold in 6 hours and one sold in 30 minutes. So they were snapped up very quickly, and we don't want people missing out when we go to the Gold Coast. So if you can explain how that process worked.
Yeah, Corey, I thought it was a great process. Something similar to this. We advertised that we were going there, and we wanted people to show interest. And the people that showed interest were allowed access to watch us run through our short list and cut the short list to a really fine list. And we were able to set values on horses, and we managed to secure one very much undervalued. We valued at 200,000, and I think bought for 70, somewhere around there. And the great thing about that is, we didn't come afterwards and say, we valued at 200. We did it all beforehand, and was open to everyone. So that was fantastic. And then they went through the process of having missed one. So that's just a part of the realistic aspect of the sales, is that you don't always get what you want. And then we managed to secure the filly on the second day, also under budget. So I think people really enjoyed that. I think if I was buying a horse, I would definitely want to be part of the process. And I thought it was really successful, and we're hoping to try and do it again.
Yeah, and I think, I have to agree. It was an idea that we came up with, and we didn't know how popular it would be. But the main part of that, which I think is exciting, is, like you said, you guys put a value to what you were happy to go to for that horse. And then our owners who had committed prior to the sale could then see that horse either went, too high for us, so we didn't get it, or it came in under that value. And you always hear trainers say, hey, we valued that horse at, say, 100,000 and we got it for 50. But you never know that it's true if it's after the sale, because you don't really know what conversations have been had before. But by being involved in the whole process, it was really obvious to everyone how it worked. They were involved the whole way through. They were getting updates from Jack as we were going. And we're looking to do something similar at the Gold Coast sale. So get in contact with Jack if you are interested, and then all of the exclusive meetings to talk about shortlists and things like that will be only open to those exclusive guys that decide that they want to follow us to the sale. We'd love to bring that to everyone, but for obvious reasons, we can't tell our shortlist put our shortlist out in the public, or everybody knows how much we're willing to spend, and will either bid us up or beat us to the horses we want. So we do need to be exclusive, but we would love to have our owners involved with us all the way through the process. Jack, we've been working a lot on building relationships with the farms, also bloodstock agents, also potential clients, even other trainers. Could you maybe touch a little bit on that of what we've been trying to do to try and make sure that Griffith the Cock Racing is giving the absolute best owner experience to all of our owners that come on board, and we're continually trying to get as much feedback as we can.
Look, Corey, with an expanding stable like ourselves, we're looking to get the best opportunities for our clients that we can secure. And in order to do that, we have to go through different sources, whether that be going to the paddock, whether that be going to different bloodstock agents. We're just trying to give our customers the opportunity and best access to everything possible. So the best way to do that is to go out there and meet and greet people and make sure we're touching base with everyone we can in the system. And I think it's working really well. And I think Robbie and Matt and yourself have seen that within. And our process with New Zealand was absolutely really successful. And look, I think it's all on the up, Corey, and it's a really good opportunity for people to get involved.
Yeah, and we've just tallied the last poll there. So, Matt, we're coming to Dubai, and 92% of the people on the webinar have said that they would love to be notified of the horses that we've bought from the paddock and bypass the sale. So that's good, Jack. We can send that on to them afterwards once it becomes available. And the favourite win was equal between King Magnus and Hasseltoff and Don't Tell the Boss. And the only reason that those two are together is because you can only put 10 options in there. And we are, unfortunately for the webinar, but fortunately for the stable, won 11 since the partnership. So I put two together and they've come in there. So Hasseltoff, Don't Tell the Boss, and King Magnus are our popular wins there. I'll go through the questions now because there are some in there. So I've got a question there about Yosemite, Robbie. So seems to have had big expectations for her that didn't eventuate in the last prep. What's her plan going forward?
Her plan is to be aimed at the Group 1 Australasian Oaks 2,000 metres in Adelaide in May, and she'll come through a gentle program that Matt and I have mapped out, which will start in a 1200 and work her way up to the 2000 metre in Adelaide. And she's good enough we think she's good enough to get to that level. She just had some respiratory issues with some mucus, and being a young spring filly, springtime, you get all that sort of mucus and so on. So don't discount her chances next preparation. She's next campaign, she's a good filly.
Yep, and Lord Lennox, this is from Leanne Thompson.
Yeah, he was really good the other day. He returned really well at Bendigo last Sunday. He heads to January 6th, so when we're at the Gold Coast doing our work, we'll be cheering him on from up there.
And a question from Wayne Lee, who's been asking some good ones. Colts or stallions harder to train than geldings?
Depends on their attitude. Sometimes they're settled, like our Chevalier is a colt, and you wouldn't know he's blasé. He's very relaxed. But if they get too masculine and bullish and carry on, well, there's no alternative but they need to be gelded and maintained. And there's a foal crop each year in Australia of 14,000, so you work on a 7,000 50-50 gender. There's a lot that get gelded, so you hear of a few that come across from Europe, but there's a lot that get gelded there too. So you only hear of the quiet ones,
Yep, and I'll try and whip through these as quick as I can now. So one for Matt. Craig Miguel says, how many of the possible horses that we inspect for sales are passed in and then purchased by either us or other owners post sale ring? So I guess it's just another way to get involved. Would you buy a horse that's passed in at a sale?
Yeah, passed in isn't because there's something wrong with the horse. It just means that the horse hasn't reached its value that the stud farm has set on it. So if you can come to an agreement with the stud farm after the horse has gone to the ring, then there's no reason why you shouldn't buy a passed in horse. I'm sure there's been many good stories about passed in horses, and it's definitely not something that should put you off.
I believe Nature Strip was passed in. Troy Corstons bought it. It failed its X-rays, got passed in, and the rest is history.
Corey.
Yep.
Fastnet Rock was passed in. Vancouver was passed in. There's a few that were passed in.
Yeah. So there's our answer, guys. We'll wait for one to get passed in, and we get that stallion. So Helen Brindle asked this one, Matt, and I know that Robbie loves Vobis races, but it's a good question for you. Do you find that Victorian owners prefer to buy Victorian bred horses because of Vobis races? I was actually talking with Simon Vivian from Inglis the other day, and he mentioned that quite often the bonuses on our races here are more than other countries' prize money.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that draws Victorian owners to the Victorian sales. If that's what they're after, then it's definitely something to consider. It's all just dependent on what people want. If people want stallions, or buy this stallion or buy that stallion, then it can change, and you have to go to places like Sydney to buy those types of horses. But the Vobis scheme is so great, and if people are patient and can wait for the Melbourne sales, Robbie's been very strong and very successful buying Vobis horses, so he's got the formula. It's all very good for racing.
Will Cederino says, any tips, Matt, on getting my golf handicap down? I know that you've actually got a golf match pre-Magic Millions with a lot of the trainers there, and we're hoping that you beat everyone and knock their confidence before we get into the ring.
Yeah, I'll try and have less beers on the golf course, maybe.
One for Robbie here. Russell Batch, ideally, how many times do you like to inspect the horse before it enters the ring?
Normally, probably 3 or 4. Depends on how big or our shortlist is and how we're comparing them between lot numbers. If they're lotted, depends on how they're lotted. If you're looking at, say, if you're deciding between, say, lot 10 and 20, and you're deciding which one you're bidding on and so on, you might be going back and forth a few times, deciding on budgets and so on. So you might be back and forth a few times, but you look at them all once quickly to narrow your 1,200 horses down to a short number as quickly as possible. But then you might go back and forth on your short list several times.
Yeah, good question from Wayne. There was whether the horses that are bought from the paddock qualify for the bonus schemes.
They don't qualify for the bonus schemes from each sale complex. For example, Magic Millions, Inglis, and so on. But a lot of the race series naturally are only the race series. Magic Millions is a lifetime series. And the English series is only a select amount of races. But the beauty of buying in Victoria is the Vobis series is so expansive in Victoria, and it lasts throughout their whole career, that mainly in 2 and 3, but a lot of the Vobis still goes into, you notice those Vobis Gold days they will go into their entire life throughout those particular days, that it's so expansive now, Vobis, that you don't always need those bonus races. So if you're getting a reasonable buy from a paddock environment, we're happy to forego those bonus schemes if it suits the buy price at that time. So they're not eligible is the short answer.
Yep, so I've got 9, so I'm going to try and whip through them as quick as I can now. Jack, I might throw a couple to you.
Yeah, go for it.
Is there a preference for local or overseas stallions?
Not really. It's more on type, I would say. But depending on a particular order, some people might really, really like a stallion. I know the Eels team really heavily invested in Street Cry, and Who Be Got You was the product of that. So, yeah, it just depends, Corey.
Yeah, Kevin Barnett says the Magic Millions Gold Coast sale is often considered a rich man sale. The average selling price is high compared to other sales. Do you think the quality of yearlings is proportionally higher than in other sales?
That's a hard question. I would say that the yearlings are very precocious at that first sale, and that's what our market's geared to. So naturally, it's going to be the most expensive because of that, or one of the most expensive sales, should I say, based on the fact that, we target precocious 2-year-old horses. We love to win the Slipper in Australia. So based off that, that's what I would say, yeah.
It's also the closest to Asia, so I guess it has a big Asian buying bench, which obviously bring a lot of money. And then also that's the average sale price is high because there are some lots which are so high. But if you actually look at the winners that come from the sales, the average is not too different across all of them. The winners that come from the sales or the median price is often quite similar. It's the average price, which is a lot higher. So I think with 1,200 lots, the hope for Jack and I being in sales is that we find some really nice value there. We still get nice types, but maybe, it might be midnight and everyone's off celebrating their $1 million I'm Invincible they've just bought, and they miss a beautiful Zoo Star or Capitalist that we can capitalize on late in the day. So that's the plan. For the trainers, so here's one for you, Robbie. How do you assess the horses currently in your stable? Is it purely on their racetrack performance? Is it partly training? How they develop in stature, physical appearance? There's a whole host of things there. But how do you, what's the best guide to tell you that the horses you have are going in the right way?
Oh, look, ultimately it's their racetrack performance. I think Matt and I both agree that, their training skill is an indication that potential's there, and you like what you see. And, we've got a whole lot of data collection that we collect along the way, from heart rate monitors to recovery to stride length and all the different things that you collect along the way, what the jockeys feel. And there's so many things that you collect, but ultimately it's their race day performances that is the ultimate yardstick. King Magnus is a great example. He's a moderate horse in training, yet on race day he really rises to the occasion. So he races a lot higher standard than his training. So those sort of horses are a good example of how they race far above what they train at. He does train his heart data. Matt can attest to this. The data that is collected on him correlates with his race performance, but his actual training under rider in training is moderate, but his data on the treadmill is very high.
Yep.
Fair, Matt?
Yeah. No,
any babies, Matt? So I'll just go for one of the questions on the screen there. Which babies haven't hit the track yet but excite you, Matt? I know that you've mentioned a couple to myself, but which of the babies there that haven't hit the track yet do you have high expectations on?
Oh, we're very lucky to have quite a wide variety of them. I'm quite excited about the cable bays. My first time working with any cable bays, and they look like really athletic types. And then we had one trial this morning, a More Than Ready. He's really exciting. He's a beautiful colt. So I think Robbie bought really well last season, and I think the future looks good for us.
That More Than Ready colt won its trial last week, and then this morning I watched the trial. It led the whole way before basically going easy to the line. But that still has some left in it, does it, Jack?
Yeah, it's very lucky to have some left in it, Corey, but there is some shares available in that horse, and that just shows that COVID's really had an effect on the stable with horses like him still available.
Yeah, he looks like a stallion when you look at him. Is he still a rig, Robbie?
Yep, he is. When we bought him, he was called a double rig because he didn't have any testicles, but now he has one. So one of them has descended, meaning that he's maturing. So you'll probably find over time, whether the other one comes down or not, it's hard to say, but one of them has certainly come down. But he's a beautiful horse. He's a half brother to a Group 1 horse, and he's a 3/4 to a Group 2 in More Strawberry. So he's got a really top quality pedigree. I'm surprised there's any shares in him. You're gonna just sell me out of that one too, Jack, are you?
That's my job, Robbie. Sell as many shares as possible.
Yeah, that'd be right. Don't sell my share.
Well. Looking for a bonus, Robbie.
All right, Robbie, you can have your share, but Jack said it was twice the price for you to stay in. He has some other clients, so no, but that's a lovely horse, that colt. So I've got James Carter. I like you guys having the ability to buy direct off the farm. When you assess horses at the farm, is there any attention at all paid to whether that yearling is leading its herd around the paddock, or is it really got nothing to do with your assessment?
No, not always, because sometimes the lazy one out the back is the dude that's quite quick on the track. It's not always the one out front, but it's not always the case. It's what Matt and I like is the one with it's the way that they move. It's the style in how that they conduct themselves is what you go for, and so Matt and I like a horse that doesn't waste any time with their movement, and the horse that's a real athlete. It's not necessarily the one that's out front.
If I could jump in, Corey.
Yeah.
Something that I really enjoyed about going to the farms is that you go into a paddock with between 5 and 10 yearlings in the paddock. You can compare them right next to each other. They're standing right next to each other. So it's great to make that comparison with them all standing in the paddock, whereas you go to the sales, you're looking at one horse at a time, where in the paddock, they're all bunched up together, standing together. You can see, oh, that one's a lot bigger, stronger, and then they all run off together. And, it's great to watch them in their own environment all together,
Yeah, and that's a great point, and probably something that even I hadn't thought about before. The next question, Peter Stanley, how do you go about selling a buying guide for a particular horse? So, putting a value on it. Do you put a value on it prior to the sale based on its sire and what the mare has produced previously? So I can start that answer, Matt, and then I'll get you to finish it off. I know that Jack and I have been meticulously going through the catalogue. So if I open mine there, every single page has notes on it. I've looked up every single, so if it has an unraced 2-year-old or an unraced 3-year-old, I'll go through the dam side and see how much they sold for in the ring and things like that. And Jack and I have been collating all of that data. But then ultimately Matt and Robbie are the horse people and they're bloodstock agents who go out and actually look at the horse. So Matt, I guess when you collate all of that together, how do you guys put a value onto it?
Yeah, there's so much to take in, Corey. There's, like you said, so much data. It could be a Group 1 sire out of a Group 1 mare, but have a crooked leg, so, and then that will really deflate its value. So there's so much data, and you just got to decide what you can live with. That Group 1 sire, Group 1 mare, the yearling that has a crooked leg, can you live with that crooked leg? So you may get the horse at a discount value, but can you train that horse? Will you be comfortable training that horse and be happy that's not going to go sore? And then you get a horse that's absolutely perfect, but maybe it doesn't have the best pedigree. So you got to. There's so much to take in when you're valuing a horse. But as we're strong on the belief that if we value a horse, we need to stick to it.
Yeah, and I know that some people do like to look at the horse first with no predetermined idea of what the page is. Would you guys fit into that category? I know that you've got Jack and I doing a lot of the study into previous sales results and all of that type of thing. But when it comes to looking at the horse, does any of that come into your mind before you look at it, or is it more after you looked at it?
Say that again, Corey.
So with the page, would that come into your thought process after you've looked at the horse or before? Would you prefer to sort of have that data collated elsewhere and then look at the horse with no predetermined idea, or do you like to look at the page first?
I only like to look at the page to see I like to see the genetics come through in terms of colours, and I like to know that I'm paying for the badge, so to speak. I don't want to see a Mercedes or a BMW. Don't look anything like it. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily be influenced by that. I don't want when you see a Fastnet or a Redoutes or a certain breed come out. Like, for example, Danehill never ever produced a chestnut. So if a chestnut walked out, you'd be going, hang on, alarm bells are going off here. He never did that. It must be a ringing. There's something going on here. So I like to see a certain type of horse come out for that reason. So I much like Matt, you want to see an athlete come out first, and basically you want to see the page to establish a value. So for me, at the Magic Million sales, if Matt and I like a horse as a general yardstick, we've got above average taste. So if the average is 250,000, as Clint said, that's our yardstick, and then work backwards from there. So the medium might be a little bit under that. So if we're getting horses that we like and they're above average in looks, if we can snag horses well under that, above that average price, we're buying very well to give people an idea.
Yep. And how far back in the pedigree? So Wayne Lee once again asks, how far back in the pedigree would you look?
How far back in
the page? Yeah. How far back in the pedigree would you look in a horse
for performance?
For the page. So I guess in terms of its genetics, how far back would you go? So obviously a sales book would go back four generations. How far would you prefer to go back, or is that more the bloodstocks agent's job?
Probably a bit of both. You want to be looking for performance to be good from the get-go right through. You wouldn't want to be looking back too far.
Yep. And Matt, how important is a horse's attitude in the sales ring?
I think it's very important. It can put you off buying a horse if a horse is very badly behaved or difficult to handle. Good horses have generally got good attitudes, and it's something that we do look for when we walk in a horse up and down. Is a horse with a good mind, and a horse that's going to handle a stressful environment is very important, because they're going to leave the sales, they're going to be broken in, they're going to be going through barriers, they're going to be heading to the races on hopefully big days with big crowds. So any professional athlete, human or thoroughbred, needs to have a strong mental capacity.
Yep. And I've got two more questions. I'm almost there. So I guess, Robbie, I might ask these couple on the screen now. So what horses in the stable now that are running are you excited by? What's coming up that people should put as a black booker and maybe a tip? If they like to have a punt over Christmas and get a winner, what's the horse to look at the moment?
I think it's fair to follow the horses in general on Boxing Day and New Year's Day. I think that we've got a good lineup on both of those days. Influential Girl will line up Saturday, and Sagara and Don't Tell the Boss. They're all coming off good runs. Matt and I were very impressed with our Chevalier this morning. So he's coming off a last start win, and he heads to Flemington New Year's Day. I think Robe de Fay was ready to go very well on New Year's Day at Flemington. So I think New Year's Day should be a good day for us, all going well. Hasseltoft's in the same day. He, as Damien Lane said, he won the race and lost the photo. So he's on Gen 2. We could run King Magnus at Caulfield. So I think the New Year's 1 and 2 program should be good for us. And we've got a nice lineup Wednesday at Sandown. So I just think in general over the Christmas New Year period, stick with us. I think we should be good for the punters.
Yeah, and Jack, you're a bit of a form analyst, so what we might do is we might actually send out a Christmas sales team multi. What do you reckon?
That sounds good, Corey. I like your thinking.
We might do that as a once-off, and if we lose, then we might never do it again. But we might give it a whirl once. So Graham Morrison asks, if a horse is not up to provincial level, if a horse is not up to city level, would you then look to pass that horse on and tell your owners up front?
Yeah, we do that, absolutely. We're quite happy to move the horse on. We don't want people having horses unless they're going to be winners. And we sell horses online we sell them via agents to other states and sell them on to weaker states of Australia. Victoria is the hardest place to win a race in Australia because geographically, every stable can race within 4 hours. So the way Victoria is structured, the leading stables all travel within 4 hours, which basically means wherever you go in Victoria, you run across the number one stable. So any horse that leaves Victoria wins outside of Victoria. So there's two tiers of racing in Sydney, New South Wales, and it's easier in Queensland and so on. So yes, we do sell horses as soon as they reach their mark in Victoria. We do that all regularly if they're not going to be good enough.
Yep. And this is another one for you, Robbie, actually. I think it's probably not one to ask Matt. So he's obviously going to say that it's his genius. But since the start of the training partnership, what's the biggest improvement seen within the stable? Obviously, the results are being seen, but interested to know if the partnership has improved the results.
Oh, definitely. As he's pushed the old bloke to the side and taken over the reins, that's how it's worked, isn't it? No, I think that it's a combination of definitely the partnership's been fantastic. The vibrancy of youth is always good. It's created a lot of energy. We've got a great team prior to Matt and Monique coming along. But bringing Matt and Monique to the team has been sensational, because Matthew, it's been well documented that he's travelled the world with his famous father, and bringing all of those ideas has ignited a lot of new ideas to the team, and that's what it was all about. And bringing those global initiatives to Cranbourne has enabled our stable to go to the next level, and that's what it's all about. And the results are there, and they're going to continue to be there, and they're going to continue to grow. And that's the whole idea of what we're doing with our partnership. So I think that we've got a great synergy, which is evident, and we want that to continue to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, and Matt, the man of the moment, if you'd like to go through the questions and let us know which one you think might be the best question of the night. I know that we've joked the last few days, or I've joked with you that you were actually at the stable before the partnership. I wasn't, so I believe the horses know good marketing when they see it and they run faster. But for some reason, I haven't been able to get Robbie to buy into that idea, so we'll see how we go there. And finally, Robbie, while Matt's looking through the questions, what will you personally be doing over Christmas? Do you get a break?
Not really. We work pretty hard. The whole team, all hands on deck Christmas morning. We've always had a policy of get in, get out, so everyone can be home as quickly as possible for those that have kids to unwrap the presents. Boxing Day is a full-on day, but Sharani and I head to the Gold Coast on the 27th because we want to get a head start early. There's 1,200 horses to look at. Matt comes up on the 2nd. A couple of the big farms do get up there quite early, so I'll get a head start on Matt. And then Matt comes up on the 2nd so that we can look at the 1,200 horses. Peter Ford's been looking at a lot already at the farms. We've been doing some at the farms because we want to make sure we turn over every stone so that we can find a diamond underneath some of them somewhere. So that's what we do. So no, there's no rest at this time of the year. We might get a couple of days sort of quiet-ish, but not much. And then we're concentrating because all of our babies are in work ready for the Blue Diamond Series, Corey. They're all preparing for the Blue Diamond Series, and Hal Horson's getting ready for stakes racing. And as I mentioned, we're quite busy with New Year's Day racing, so there's quite a bit on the go at the moment. But we're excited about being busy, so it's all good.
Yeah, and Matt, what about yourself over Christmas?
Oh, sorry, what was the question? Because I've just been reading through the questions that.
What will you do over Christmas other than obviously come in and train the horses like Robbie's just said you need to either way? But what will you do? Obviously, first time away from, probably not first time, but you're in Australia for the first time at Christmas.
Yeah, it's a little difficult because we don't have any family over here, but we're fortunate to have a couple of friends that immigrated a couple of years ago. So we'll be having lunch with them and Christmas Eve with another friend group. So they've been good to us. We've actually been offered by a lot of people to spend Christmas with them. So everyone has been really welcoming, which is great, you know.
And Wayne Lee said here, is he happy to carry the bags for Robbie and Sharani? And Shadi Hamed said, would it be responsible to put my house on Barclays Bank in its first run? Robbie?
Well, you should. It's hard to do form on 2-year-old races, but stick with him. He's a quality colt, yes.
And Matt, which did you think was the best question of the lot?
Well, I do have a best question. The funniest, it wasn't a question, but it wasn't said, was tell Robbie to sit back because his face looks fat.
Who was that? Wayne Lee.
Yeah.
Wayne Lee.
Well,
But
it's poor lighting, so if I sit back, look how dark it is. So I think that's a harsh question that should be penalised.
Yeah, we better go.
My best question is from Brendan Byron. He said he's really keen to come racing with us, and a few others aren't sure. How can I convince them to race? I thought that was quite a relevant question.
All right, so Brendan, if you'd like to email through, Jack or I will send out an email tomorrow anyway. Once we've gone through the poll results and everything, we'll send out something to everyone that watched tonight. So thank you for joining us. And then if you write back, Brendan, we'll get you a prize pack when it's available. And I do still have some questions coming through, but I'll finish up there because it has been over an hour now, an hour and 20 minutes now. So I know that us sales guys are happy to work, day and night, but these trainers, they do need their sleep. So we might wrap up there for Matt and Robbie. But thank you very much, Matt, for coming on once again.
Thank you, Corey.
Thanks,
Robbie, as well, for giving up your time.
Thank you, Corey. Thanks for organising this. You and Jack have done a great job, and Matt and I really appreciate it. It's been fantastic. It's worked really successfully, and hopefully it works really well at the Gold Coast.
Yeah, and like we said, we'll send out an email, Jack and I. Thanks, Jack, for coming on, but obviously you kind of roped in there. But we'll send something out to everyone, and as we've mentioned all the way through, we will be trying to get people involved in the whole sales process. So I would advise backing the stable now while it still has the option for all of us small owners jumping in, and I think that will always be the case. We want to try and make it the best ownership experience of any stable in Australia. That's our goal, and we're slowly getting new initiatives all the time. So jump on board with us. If you have any questions, throw them to us, and we'll do our best to answer them, or at least point you in the right direction. So thanks, everyone, and hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.